Clark, you want to talk a little bit about your plastic foam facades that you experienced there in Clark County?
Yes. If you click on this picture that Shannon showed us here, these are pictures from a friend of mine, Chief Ed Hatfield. He's out of Firetown training. And what we're looking at here, this is we call this a wall cap. And a lot of times these wall caps are simply polystyrene foam that are sprayed with a 1/16 inch of stucco. And these products, the specific picture you're looking at, they take this 4x4 piece of polystyrene foam and they glue it onto the top ledge of the wall of a concrete tilt-up or a wood frame to they just try to dress up the concrete tilt-up a little bit. So they glue this 4x4 piece of polystyrene foam on the top edge there, and then that side with the profile, that has a 4x4 channel cut into it. And they simply glue that piece of foam right onto the side of that, and it is so cheap and so lightweight, that stuff you see hanging out there, that's actually duct tape. So they simply duct tape this to the side of the building until that glue dries. Now that's one of the methods. Another one, they just simply glue it onto the side of the building. If you go through a couple of these slides, please, Shannon, you'll see that the one thing that scares the daylights out of me as a truck company, that's that same wall after it's finished, all right? You see where the parapet is, you see where the bearing wall is, all right? That bearing wall is only about 8 inches. So you're looking at about 36 inches of nothing but polystyrene foam with a 16-inch of stucco on it that is glued to the side of that building. How are we going to access that in a truck? How are we going to access the roof of that building? All right, we better know what we are standing on before we get on that. You take you think that little piece of styrofoam glued on there is going to hold a 325-pound fireman in full gear with saws and hooks on his back? Absolutely not. Now show me another picture, please, Shannon. Yeah, here's another side of the profile, how they simply scratch that with the stucco and glue it on. All right, another picture, please, Shannon. This is one in my jurisdiction. We actually did this. It's a brand new building, and this one fortunately has a little piece of OSB on it, but look at the size of that parapet. How are we going to access that? So we better be very, very careful of how we exit the bucket. If we're going to use the bucket, can we put the bucket over, make sure we're on a load-bearing wall, and make sure we're stepping on the load-bearing wall? All right? Because this will send you, if you step on this, it will send you. Show me another picture, please, Shannon. That's the underside of that parapet we were just talking about, or that wall cap we were just talking about. Looks pretty fancy, doesn't it? But that is nothing more than polystyrene foam glued to the side of a building. All right, next picture, please. All right, this is a typical strip mall we have in my jurisdiction. All right, you see that decorative edge? Not only the decorative edge on the roof, on the wall cap, but that one down the middle of it. That is all polystyrene foam parapet as well. And any kind of fire you have inside that window falls down on that ledge, that will go into that parapet, and that will start burning. They'll start burning through that polystyrene and that decorative trim. Now, what we try to look for as a truck captain, when I'm responding to a strip mall fire, I cannot wait to get on scene because I want to get eyes on that building to see if I have this material on my roof line and make an announcement on scene about emergency traffic, about working in or around that stuff. So
you would transmit an urgent when you discover that type of thing.
Emergency traffic, be aware that this is the type of construction we're dealing with. Stay off the roof. Leave it to the truck company. And because we know about this, we've trained on this, we've inspected a lot of this stuff in our first in, so I'm very aware of this, and we're very careful when working around this stuff. Show me another picture, please, Shannon. This is why I like taking the truck to the Charlie side. All right, this is a strip mall. We have another picture of the strip mall. The whole front of this is covered in this polystyrene wall cap, but if you look at here at the Bravo side, it stops. It stops right there. Bravo side's in pretty good shape. Charlie side's wide open. We have a great alley in the Charlie side to work at. So if I'm on a truck company and I'm responding to a strip mall fire with this material, first plan A for me is get to the Charlie side. Very rarely you're going to find this material all around the back because they're just trying to save a little money. They don't have to decorate the back of the building with the loading docks and the utilities. All right, so this typically stops on the Alpha, Bravo side and the Delta side. So show me another picture, please, Shannon. Is there one? Is that it? All right. I thought I had another picture. But yeah, so be very, very careful when you're dealing with this type of material. And Captain Gustin, you said this is specific to Clark County. This is not specific to Clark County. We have this material all over the South, all over the Southwest, all over the West, and even in Pensacola. When I went down there to Pensacola with you, Cap, we were driving back from the airport. I noticed multiple buildings with this same construction feature on top of it. All right. Sometimes In rare cases, they do frame that in wood. That wall cap will be framed in wood and then painted, but the majority of the time it is cheaper and it's easier to make this material and attach to the side of the building. You simply, the architect or the builder simply contacts the manufacturer and says, here's the profile I want, here's how many lineal feet I want. They cut it at the shop and they deliver to them on a pallet. The whole pallet might weigh 60 pounds of material. Drop it right there, take it out of the package and glue it to the side of the building. So
Can you tell us about how you cut a notch in that?
Yes.
Secure a ladder with a chainsaw.
I haven't tried this yet because I can't find anyone to let me do this to their building. But as soon as someone turns their back, I'm going to do this. So what I've thought of is you go up to the building, right? Somehow access the roof of the building either with a bucket or a ground ladder. All right. Carefully step over that wall cap onto the load-bearing wall, and then use your saw and simply cut through that stuff with your chainsaw. Cut about a 24-inch wide section out of that. Hit it with the hook and knock that section off the side of the building. One strike from the hook will take care of that, and that way you can roll your ground ladder into the notch you made, so the tip of your ground ladder is going to be resting on the load-bearing wall, and then it's also going to keep that tip of that ladder from moving side to side, so you're not going to lose your tip. That's going to create a little notch to keep that tip from moving. So if anyone gets an opportunity to try that, please get some video of it and let me know.
I think your problem is you're asking.
Yes, that's true.
Now, how big of a sections do those come in, as far as if you just tried to get a roof hook underneath it or just try to knock off? I mean, are they coming in 16-footers, 8-foot sections?
I've never seen anything as long as 16 foot, and I think that's just for shipping purposes, Sam. They just pallet size is typically what I see, just the size of a pallet. So maybe 6-8 feet is going to be the longest I've ever seen them.
I got a question for you. Have you seen the video, Clark, of because we're talking about taxpayers, from Joe Squarto from Fireline Video, of the taxpayer fire in Queens where the foam was underneath as exterior foam, EFIS, exterior foam insulating systems?
Yes.
And fire came out of the store, and all of a sudden it heated up to its ignition temperature, and it ran the entire length of the soffit from the foam. And if you were under that, you were cooked. I mean, it was like amazing.
Right.
I'll see if I can get permission maybe next month to use it. But I'll see if I can talk to Joe and see if we can use it.
That'd be great. And Captain Dugan, you don't only have to worry about the lateral fire spread. It melts and it drops down. So
it trips on you, and then it also, depending on how they finish it, if they leave an air channel behind it so it doesn't mold, there's an air channel. If the fire gets behind there, depending on if they leave a full air channel, it can go all the way up and go behind everything and set everything on fire behind you.
Absolutely. It'll burn in the foam behind the stucco and the fiberglass mesh. So it'll burn through the EFIS system. And if you're standing on the street corner looking at it, you're not going to know what's on fire. You're not going to know where that fire is traveling because it's behind the stucco. That fire could be traveling 10 feet away from the original ignition point. And that's what caused the fire spread. This product is what caused the fire spread at the Monte Carlo Hotel. The Monte Carlo Hotel was started by a welder. He was cutting some metal, and the slag dropped off the metal and landed on the EFIS wall, which is the back of the parapet. That fire, and then he hit it with the fire extinguisher, thought he was done. The fire was burning in the polystyrene foam underneath the stucco. It burned up the back of the parapet wall, down the front of the parapet wall, and that's when it took off. And as it was spreading, it was dripping down, and that's how he ended up with fire on the 32nd floor, the 29th floor, the 2nd floor. That fire spread because this material was just burning and dripping off.
Well, that's going to be everybody's homework assignment, including me. I'm going to get out of my territory and take a look at the new buildings or refurbished buildings, which is, they'll do everything but the Charlie side. Clark, you make an excellent point about the Charlie side. Fast food restaurants, sit-down restaurants, typically have a very high parapet wall in the front with a cornice of some type of facade to conceal the air handling equipment and the exhaust equipment for the cooking.